Today is a super exciting day. I finally get to show you the full version of Anno 117 Pax Romana. That's right, the complete game with no in-game time limitations and the ability to show you things that have never been seen before. And I'll be playing all of it in brilliant 4K. In this video, we'll begin a brand new sandbox playthrough in Albion. This will be the first episode in a new series in the channel, where I attempt to make a massive city in this foreign, harsh new world. We'll also be mixing Romano-Celt and Celtic culture for the first time, and I'm really curious to see how that combination feels in the city. And we'll finally be able to upgrade past Tier 2 citizens, something which has never been shown before. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank Ubisoft for sponsoring this video and providing me early access to the game. I truly appreciate their support, and I'm glad I finally get to share what I've been up to in the game. And don't worry, you'll be able to jump in soon too. Anno 117 Pax Romana releases November 13th, 2025, and will be available on PC through Steam, Ubisoft Connect, and Epic, and on console on both Xbox and PlayStation. You can wishlist or pre-order it now if you like what you see. And without further ado, let's jump right in. And here we are in Anno 117, the full version of the game. So let's start a new game, and we're going to begin in endless mode, where we can explore an open world without limits. Now we have our character selection screen. Why don't we start out with Marcia? And then for the banner, we'll go with purple and rebirth. I like that. Since this is my first full playthrough, I'm going to begin on the normal difficulty level. And I think that the main differences here is that I will have full refund cost if I delete a building. I'll have really abundant fertility, and my incidents will be relatively easy to deal with. Works for me. So now I get to select my province. I could go to Verlatium if I want the classic experience, but I really want to see what's happening in Albion. I'm really excited to see what those level 3 citizens and all their buildings look like. So let's set sail there.
You Romans probably think this place is weird. All of that. But then if a Celt saw Latium, they'd probably feel the same. It's our home. It's ancient. Naturally, a Roman sees it running wild and wants to bring it to order, to heal. Expect a bit of resistance there, mind. It's two different worlds, sort of bound by fate, but divided in belief. Anyway, Albion knows how all that's meant to me.
Gosh, that was pretty. So here we are in Albion, and the very first thing I want to do is figure out where we're going to be building today. So obviously we have to build where we have timber. We've got a lot right here. We're going to stabilize our lumber supply first, but for the city, I think I want to build right here. There's a kind of a little stretch of land that seems like it'd be perfect for development of the city, in between the water and 2 marshes. So let's begin by building a couple of woodcutters. And for these, I just want to make sure that we have over 80 tiles that we reach, because we will be cutting through here with a road. And I built 2 of them right away because I don't want wood to be a bottleneck in our economy. And then we'll connect these both to the trading post with a road. And I noticed that we are under 100% here. So I'm just going to bump this over. And now we have 100% efficiency for both of these buildings. But we also have to have a sawmill. And now we've unlocked our first residences, the waiter residences. What I'm thinking is I want to have a diagonal road that follows the natural contours of the land. We're going to respect the topography. That's generally how cities are built. Now we have to build 20 of these residences. So I'm going to start out by dragging them maybe 3 deep. And then I can tap on these just to wrap them with roads. Then in the center of the community, I want to do something that is maybe a little bit more decorative. And then add 12 more homes over here. So now we need to reach 100% of our food needs for our waiter residents. So the waiters have 2 food options, cockles and eels. We don't need to provide both of them, but doing so will double the benefits. So for instance, we are adding to our population and we're increasing our happiness, or we're adding to our economy and increasing our population. I think we probably want to do both of these things. I believe that our cockle picker needs to be in a harbor area and the eel grabber in a marsh. So let's begin by placing our eel grabber, and we'll place them over here in the marsh. Now let's add our cockle picker, and for that, we'll go right here. Now, we don't have enough wood to construct this building yet, so it brought us into the planning mode, and that gives me the opportunity just to plan things a bit, get things ready for when we do have the materials. And now that we have them, I'll construct the building. Now at this point, neither of these are working, and that's because they're too far from the warehouse. I can tell that by clicking on these and seeing that the road only glows to here. So to fix that, I'm going to add a warehouse, and I'll place this right in between. This should get everything moving back and forth around the map. And the proof's in the pudding. We're starting to see our population grow and the money is starting to roll in. And now, when we select some of these homes, we can see that we're meeting their needs. Now our next buildings that we need to unlock, the market and the barred hearth, will be unlocked once we have 20 citizens. Just like that, we have those two new options available. Now the market will help us with our economy, and the bardic hearth would help us with our happiness. I think for the time being, the market is probably the more pressing need, but I'm going to build them both anyway. The thing about these is they're kind of large, and our space is a bit constrained, so we're going to need to think about that as we're building these. Place the market right there, and the bardic hearth on the opposite side. And that unlocks some more options for us. So let's take a look at our new fashions. We have reed shoes and tunics. Both of these will improve our economy, but the reed shoes are also going to improve our health, which is going to be really important as well. These are also more complex supply chains, so we have a couple of things to build. So let's begin with our reed gatherer. And I don't want to impact our eel grabber. You can see that if I place it here, I start to negatively impact the efficiency. So I'm going to likely place this like this. And then we'll add a dock that goes way out here. And now that we move this over here, we haven't impacted this all that much. And if I want to fix it, drag it out a little ways, and we have perfect efficiency. Now we also have to build our shoe weaver, and this should go right in town because coverage of people is good in this particular instance. You can see that we're getting all of the benefit from these residents right here. Now, if we want this to be as efficient as possible, I probably want to centrally locate this. Something like this would basically be ideal. I also want to build a tunic supply chain. And for this, we have to have a hemp farm and a spinner. I'll build the spinner first. And we'll place this right in the center avenue. And then get working on that hemp farm. And I think I'm going to place this maybe over here. I don't want to impact our lumber supply chain at all. So we'll extend this road up, add the farm at the end of it, and then we have to add our hemp fields. Now, to make this look natural, I'm going to try to not encroach too much upon the woods. And that looks pretty good in my opinion. And now back over here in our village, we finally have the wood to construct our shoe weaver. So let's build that. Now, one thing I'm realizing is I didn't build the fields for our reed gatherer. And this is just like the hemp farm. All we have to do is select the area where we want to harvest and plant. And now this is fully operational. So now I want to stabilize the economy. We're currently losing 105 gold. To do this, I just have to build a bunch of homes. This is something that I'm always a little bit slower at than I should be, but building them quickly is going to be the way that we get ourselves out of this mess. Now I want to take these out of blueprint mode and get these built, so I'm just going to upgrade these. And I can just highlight all of these and they're instantly built. That is fantastic. Now I can't build all of these yet, but I can build a fair number of them. And these bring us ever closer to an equilibrium financially. Now at this point, we should have met and exceeded all of our waiter residents' needs, so we should be able to upgrade them, and indeed we can. And now we have to choose this resident's path. We can either go with the Romano-Celtic path or the Celtic path. They have different needs and different boosts. For the Romano-Celtics, their boosted attribute is knowledge. So they'll provide more knowledge and be more adept in research. They'll need brooches, birds' tongues, which is an interesting food, and hand mirrors. The Celtics, on the other hand, have boosted belief attributes. So they embrace local customs and gods and generate more belief. From a cultural needs standpoint, they need cheese, cloaks, and chariots. Now, reasonably, we're going to be going in both directions, but I think I want to start out with the boosted research attribute. I think that's going to be incredibly helpful early on. So let's choose the Romano Celtics. And that unlocks a number of new options for us. But I am curious, if we want to have the Celts, what will it take? We can see that it's locked right here. We have to have nobles. And my guess is the tier 3 Romano Celtic residence is the noble. So let's work towards that level by meeting all of our Mercator residents' needs. So first, we'll unlock their food needs, and they have bread and sausages. And just like our waiter residents, I think we're going to go for both. Bread will help out with our income. We have to have a wheat farm, a donkey mill, and a bakery, as well as a charcoal burner. Let's start out with our wheat farm, and I'm going to place that fairly close to our hemp farm. I decided to bump this whole farm over just a little bit and extend the road out this way. And then I'm going to add that new farm right here. Now, interestingly, this farm requires roof tiles, which we have not accounted for. So before we can build this, we're going to have to build out this supply chain. This requires a mud dryer, a tiler, and again, that charcoal burner. Now, the mud dryer needs to go in marshland. Let's come back over here. We'll extend this out a ways and build our mud dryer right here. We're starting to build quite a lot out here, so I think I'm going to build a warehouse right here in the middle of the marsh. Now we also have to build our tiler. This is going to cost us some money and production, and it's flammable. So if we place this near our homes, they could burn down. We definitely don't want that happening. So I think I'll place this out here. And I'll place our charcoal burner close by. Now, the main reason I want to keep these close to each other is it means that we'll be able to cover them easily with fire protection down the line. And now I can see that the tiler is working, which means that we can start to build this farm. Now we'll add the cultivation area. And the wheat farm is now working. But with these new buildings, we're now in a deficit, so I want to build some of these homes. And after building out these few blocks, we have a bit of a surplus, which is outstanding. So let's continue down our bread supply chain. We have to build our donkey mill, and it doesn't seem like there are any negative externalities associated with this. So I'll build this right in the center of the city. And then we'll build our bakery as well, and this one will generate income while decreasing fire safety. And again, we'll place this right in the center of all of our citizens. Now at this point, we have a deficit of our Mercator workforce, so we have to upgrade some of these homes. And now we finally have an equilibrium. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that we could probably improve connectivity if we built a road right here. And I want to clean up our grid, so I'll bump this over just a bit. Now, before we head down our sausage-making supply chain, I want to build our villa.
Safer to place your villa as far from the coast as possible, Ere, should you wish to avoid raiding barbarians.
Oh, and they want us to place this a ways away from the coast. We don't really have many areas like that right now. But I think placing it over here should be pretty decent. And then once we have 25 lumber, we'll be able to construct this. And in no time at all, we have the materials to build this. And right away, we get notice that some visitors have arrived at the villa, and we have to pick our first aide. So let's talk to Brutus first. He claims he can do the work of 10 men. He even comes with his own oxen. And he doesn't like his twin, who he says is only found behind a desk. So let's speak to his twin. He says he's a reliable landlord. Last year alone, leasing 70 insulae or more, half of which still stand. Which Doesn't seem all that good. No one is more apt with a ledger, he says, and he adds that his brother is an illiterate brute that only a fool would hire. I'm not sure that I want to hire either of them, but this makes it much more clear. Brutus is going to give us plus 20% workforce in the surrounding area, and Gaius will help us with our income, boosting it by 1.5 in the surrounding area. I think I care more about money at this point in time, so we're going to hire Gaius. And we're making a decent amount of money at this point in time, and you can see that 67 of that is coming from our specialist. Now, we're also being encouraged to explore, and we haven't done that at all, so let's get our boat moving around. And I think I'll send the boat to the corner of the map. And to do that, I just right mouse clicked on the map, and now the boat is heading all the way over to this corner. And look at what that boat has found, this beautiful island with Lucia on it. Lucia is one of our rivals, but we might be able to trade with her in the future.
What a pleasure to meet you. I am Licia Ma. Father's a silk merchant. You simply must join us for dinner sometime.
How do we respond? Do we want to ignore her or extend a polite greeting? I think that we should probably extend this polite greeting. We want her to like us so that we can trade with her in the future. And she appreciates the kind greeting. Now, back here on our island, I want to go down the sausage-making supply chain. And that means that we have to have a pig farm, herb garden, and a sausage maker. Starting out with the pig farm, we want to get this as far away from our citizenry as humanly possible. It upsets them and makes them less healthy. I think this is an ideal location. It'll have easy access to our trading post, while also being quite a ways away from our citizens. Now, we are going to have to build some pig sties. And with 5, we've maxed out this farm. Next, we need our herb garden. And thankfully, we have herb fertility on this island. Now, this helps out with our citizens' health, so I'm going to place this right in the center of town, but we are going to need to have some space around it. And that's because we could have up to 60 cultivation area for this farm. So I think we'll go with something like this. And then the final bit of the supply chain is our sausage maker. This one has an area effect that's positive. It improves our population and our income, but it decreases fire safety. So I will place this right in the center, but over here because we have a whole bunch of stuff that needs fire protection. And that makes me think that we should look at our city watch. And we don't yet have access to fire protection, but we do have access to the Medici. So I'm going to add this. This will improve the health in the surrounding area. And we'll place that right here. Now, after adding this sausage maker, we currently have a shortage of Mercator workforce. So we're going to want to upgrade some more of these buildings. However, we are currently having a problem with our cockle picker. So I can see the issue right away. We're just too far from our warehouse. I don't know that this has ever been working. So I'm going to take this warehouse and just shift it over slightly. And now I can see that this is perfectly situated for the cockle picker. So that means that our cockles needs should be met in short order. However, I'm also noticing that we just don't have enough eels at this point. So I think there's value in adding another eel grabber. And I'll add that right here for the time being. Now, interestingly, it looks like we've naturally met our Mercator workforce need. It must have meant that some of these homes were empty and they've been filling in, which is fine as well. At this point, 2 things are catching my eye. We need to appoint a specialist to our villa. So we'll select the villa, grab our specialist slot, and take Gaius and place him in that slot. And my goodness, that has supercharged our budget. I think what I was looking at before was the benefit from the villa itself. And the other thing that's catching my eye is that we've got an island over here that we've discovered, and I just want to see what the fertility is. Barley, saltwort, ponies, iron, copper, and granite. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind because if we have to settle an island for resources, this could be one that we settle. Now, let's grab our ship once again and get it exploring. Back on our island, this resident has a request. And it says, "I, Governor, have come across a lucrative bit of lore. You interested?" Yeah, why not?
Oh, Governor, got a sec? I spy a little opportunity. You see, they say the stones in the water there have a bit of magic to them, and many's a sailor was taking one before their voyage. So, I was thinking, we could scoop them up, sell them off, and make ourselves a tidy little profit.
So she wants to sell some magical rocks. And for that, we have to sail to this rock formation. So let's find our ship, go back to the rock formation, and send it here. And now that we're here, we can confirm our arrival.
Hey up, Governor. You shouldn't be here. These stones is for common folk. It's bad luck for a king to touch them. And well, you're close enough, right?
And now we have a choice to make. Do we take the holy stones and potentially upset the locals? Or do we create fakes that potentially upset the mercators? I think we have to create fakes. So because of that, we have to deliver 10 tons of dye plants and 10 tons of limestone to craft our fake holy stones. So let's make our way back to the trading post. In the meantime, let's take a look at our mercators again and see how we're doing meeting their needs. It looks like we're not doing anything with bread, which means that our supply chain is breaking down somewhere. So we've got our bakery right here and we have no flour. That is our issue. And that makes me think that our donkey mill is inappropriately placed. So let's move this right here and hopefully that's close enough to our farm. And it indeed is, that it should now be able to mill some of this wheat down. And while we were coming back, we just met Tarragon.
Shall we, friend, if that you be? Let us start well together. I myself have few needs, but come to me for anything.
And we'll extend him a respectful greeting. He appreciates our words. So let's check out his island. And it is fairly modest, it looks like. But he does have a very nice lighthouse over here. Very cool. Also noticing that we have a quest here from Lucia. She has a benevolent loan that she would like to give us. We'll get $5,000 that we honestly don't need at a 16% interest rate, which is honestly pretty steep. It'll cost us $800, but it's going to make her like us more. I think that we are going to take it. And even after taking that, we are making a decent amount of money, so I'm not all that concerned about it. Now, we've also found an island that's fairly close to ours. Fertility here includes herbs, small bird population, flax, iron, copper, and silver. So we'll keep that in mind. Back over here on our island, I just want to check back in on our bread making supply chain. And it looks like it's finally starting to work, which is fantastic. And that means that in short order, we should start to see our bread need fulfilled. I am noticing though that our cockles need is not at the very top. And that makes me think that maybe we should add another cockle picker. So I'm going to scoot this one over just a bit. And then we'll add a second one right next to it. And with that, we have indeed met 100% of our bread need, and our cockles need should be fulfilled soon. Now, our next mercator need is going to be public services. So to get to these, we're going to have more mercators. So let's upgrade some of these waiters. And the Emperor loves this because we're making this more of a Roman village. And with that, we now have enough mercators to unlock the Grammaticus and the Phantom. The Grammaticus will help us with knowledge, and it'll also unlock the tech tree, I believe. And the Phantom provides faith and a bit of knowledge. And I believe that this is how we'll actually be able to unlock religion. So let's get these both placed right away. And these have that proximity benefit, so we're going to want to keep these close to everybody. And honestly, I think we want to have these right in the center of our community, so we are going to move things around just a bit. And we'll place the Grammaticus right here. And the Phantom's a bit larger, so I think I'll place that off to the side over here. And check this thing out. This is the Grammaticus, very cool looking building. And over here, we have the Phantom. Both of these really add a lot of character to the community. But the most important thing that they're going to add is for the Phantom, the ability to select a patron. Ceres will help with all things related to our fields. That includes our bread production chain and a few other chains that we don't currently have access to. All residences will also provide additional population, which is a pretty cool improvement. Neptune will help with all things related to the sea. And right away, he would impact our cockles production chain. He'll also make newly constructed ships more durable, and they'll have reduced money upkeep, so that could be very helpful. And finally, Mars, he will help out with all things related to war, including weapons production, sandal production, armor production, and charcoal production. Troops recruited on the island will also have higher morale and reduced workforce and money upkeep. And honestly, I think for the time being, Ceres is going to help us the most. So we'll set her as the patron. And apparently Tarragon loves that as well. And it says each island's patron god contributes to the global score. Reach new targets to unlock powerful rewards. And if we had 1,000 converts, we could get the Shrine of Ceres, which would give us +1 population and +1 health. At 4,000, all of our farms could support up to 50% more field modules, allowing an increase of up to 50% productivity. So that is pretty darn cool. And at 7,000, our storage limit is increased on all islands by 300 tons, which is huge. But of course, at this point in time, we've only got 234 followers, so we're going to have to just keep this in the back of our minds. Now, whereas the Phantom unlocked the patrons, the Grammaticus unlocked research.
There are many discoveries one can research: economic, civic, military. Choose wisely.
And there are so many different things that we could research here, and the paths are not linear. We can go however we want to go, which is pretty exciting. This one, for instance, would have the spinners generating knowledge, which could be really useful. Whereas this one right here would cause the fishing hut and the cockle picker to generate additional income. Under the civic research, we have things like wells, which would reduce the flammability in our community, and watchtowers, which increase happiness nearby. And then we also have military research, where we could unlock things like slingers and start to pursue a military. Now, I think to begin, I'm going to go for the voluntary vigilance. This will unlock fire protection, which I think is incredibly important. And to get to that, we'll be researching quarter mastery first. And we just got a notice from the Emperor that in recognition of our achievements, we've been granted the right to settle in sunny Latium, which is pretty exciting. So I'll confirm this, but I think for the time being, we just want to stay here. And we'll pursue the next Mercator need. New fashions. So they have brooches and soaps. Brooches will increase our income and provide a bit of belief, while soap will give us more population, prestige, and health benefits. Now for our brooches, there are really 3 things that we have to add. We have to add a silver mine, a silver forge, and the artisanal studio right here that actually fashions the brooches. It looks like we could have silver mines basically all over the island. This is going to create some health problems though, so I don't want to place it there. Let's see if we can place one over here. This is probably better from a health standpoint, but we're gonna have to build another warehouse as well. And that's because we're too far away from all of our existing ones. So we'll place this right here. And then take a look at our next need, our silver forge. This decreases fire safety, and that makes me want to place it right next to all these other buildings that also decrease fire safety. And then finally, we have our artisanal studio. This will decrease fire safety, increase population, and increase income. So we're going to want to keep these close to our people, but boy, oh boy, we need to add fire protection soon. And I've placed that right here so that hopefully we can cover all of these flammable buildings with one vigil. Now, it's a good thing that we have the ability to produce the brooches here because we cannot produce soap. We don't have lavender, and for that, we're going to have to either settle in Latium or trade. So that's something that we'll have to do in the future. While we're waiting for our brooches to be produced, I think that we should try to unlock our next need, the household category. Now, for this, we have to have 300 mercators, so let's upgrade some of these residences. And now we've unlocked new household goods, including amphorae, which is a terracotta pot designed to show off your wealth and your wine, boosts our population and our fire safety, and olive oil, which will boost our income, population, and health. But obviously, we can't grow olives here. However, we should be able to build the potter if we can find some resin. But unfortunately, we don't have resin fertility on this particular island. None of the islands that we've discovered have that fertility either, so we're going to need to continue to explore. And we're going to need to find an island that has limestone and dye as well, or we'll have to trade for those. So I think I'm going to put this on the back burner for now and do a little bit more island exploration. And I went to the corner of the map and discovered this huge new island, but it doesn't have the fertility that we need. So let's keep exploring.
Our scouts have sighted new land.
But just southeast of that island, this island does have resin, so we are going to settle this one. And I love that we have this little tiny isthmus right here. Looks like the perfect place for a city, in my opinion. So we'll build a trading post here for 9,375 denarii. And we'll start to establish a small settlement. So the first thing that we'll do is stabilize our lumber supply. Then our food supply. And then we'll build some waiter residence. And then just looking at this, to get to our resin tapper, we're going to have to unlock mercators. So that means that we need to meet at least all of our waiter basic needs. So we'll add a marketplace and meet our fashion needs with reed shoes. That'll mean adding a reed gatherer right here. And then we'll add the shoe weaver right here, right next to all of our population. And now we can see their fashion needs being met, which means that we can upgrade them to a mercator. Now, to build the resin tapper, we're going to have some clay roof tiles. So I'll extend the dock right here and add a mud dryer. Then we've got to add our tiler. I'll extend a road out this way to try to get that far away from our citizenry. And then we'll also need a charcoal burner. Now this makes people sick, so I want to get this a little ways away. And now that we have that supply chain complete, we should be able to add our resin tapper. Though with its location being way out here, we're going to have to add a warehouse. And for the sake of fire safety and efficiency, I decided to move the tiler over here right across from the charcoal burner. And now we can finally build that resin tapper. And that will lead to a shortage of mercators. So we'll upgrade a couple of these waiters. And now we're finally producing resin. So we have to set up a trade route to get that resin off this island and to our main island. So we'll select our ship and create a trade route. And we'll start here at this new island and end the route at our main island. We'll load resin here and empty it here. And honestly, that's all I want to do with this route for the time being. So we'll establish the route and everything is in order. And we have one resin loaded onto our ship going back to our main island. So back over here, let's establish that amphorae supply chain, and all that we really need to add is the potter. And so we can cover as many people as possible, I'm going to place that right about here. And as soon as our resin gets here, we should start producing pots. And indeed, this thing is now fully operational. And now we're seeing that household need category get filled up, which means that we can upgrade. And we have our first noble residence, which is incredibly exciting. And would you look at this thing? This is the first that I have seen of the noble residence, and they are just really outstanding. I love the wall artwork here. I love that it's a bit taller. It just makes it feel a ton more urban. Very nice looking building. Now, I don't want to upgrade any more of these just yet. What I really want to do is see if we're able to take some of our waiters and upgrade them to the Celtic residence. And now we can see them side by side. That is super exciting. And with that, we've opened up a ton of new possibilities, and I'm really excited to pursue them, but I think that we're going to have to wait for the next one, because today we're going to leave it here. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I want to give one more huge shout out to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video. Remember, Anno 117 comes out November 13th of this year. It'll be available on PC through Steam, Ubisoft Connect, and Epic, as well as on Xbox and PlayStation. And you can wishlist or pre-order it right now. Now stay tuned because we'll have another episode soon where we expand on this island, beautify, and dramatically increase our population. But again, this is it for today. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.